Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into this Aries. One thing I do want to mention, Aries, is that thank you guys for bearing with me. I've moved to a new location and it has been a beast to get the internet set up and working properly. I feel like we may have started to turn a corner, but every time I say that, we have new problems. So thanks for hanging with me. I think things are getting better though. And also, I'm bringing something back on this channel that I haven't done in a long time. I explain it in the today's topic video that is for the 10th of October. So that video is posted. You can check that out. I explain it right at the beginning of the video, nice and quick. And what we're doing is only going to happen on the today's topic videos. That's why I'm not even going to bother rehashing it here. You can watch it over there. So yeah, there's a whole playlist called Today's Topic. I do one that's date specific every single day, and that's where we'll be doing this thing that we're rolling back out. So anyway, just say thank you guys. So here we go. What is the message for our Aries at the moment in this story? We have a Page of Cups. We have a Ten of Wands, Temperance, Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so we have sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very, 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 very sorry. 10 times sorry. And could we please get this back on track? Please, could we get this back on track? I don't know if this is Aries is sorry, or if we have a water sign or a Sagittarius that's very sorry. But someone would very much, I believe, like Aries to give to them again. Let me just confirm that. Tell me who the Queen of Coins is. Queen of Coins. We have the Moon sideways, we have the Magician upright, and we have the King of Cups. So it is, I'm going to say that our lead character here, who is so very sorry, is possibly a water sign, possibly masculine. Although in truth, they could also be a Virgo or Gemini with that Magician's card. But just because we have a King of Cups here and we start out with the Page of Cups, I'm putting it in water energy. Let's just say it's somebody who has a lot of emotion for Aries. They would very much, this is somebody who loves Aries. This is somebody who, I said, who is the Queen of Cups? And it's like, it's the person that I'm dreaming of. It's the person that I'm trying to manifest back. It's the person that, and I would just argue Aries already knows this with the moon being sideways. Something about, and this could still be like the aftermath of that full moon that we had, that super moon that came up on Monday, October the 6th. We may still be having like a lot of, like reverb from that moon energy, which is nice. This is beautiful. We have an Emperor upright. We have a Page of Swords. Definitely, this is somebody who has designs on Aries. I would say that they are watching Aries like a hawk. In this, here's our Aries, right? Aries could be a masculine or a feminine. They see Aries as both. They see Aries as somebody who is very good at making decisions in their life, and they move through life like a boss. This Aries could like run a business. They could work in an industry that could be typically dominated by males, but they hold their own. It's somebody who really respects and admires Aries, but Aries could also be a masculine. This is a classical male archetype, but keep in mind, I don't read for genders, and we all have masculine and feminine within us. So with this in mind, I would just argue it is somebody who knows Aries' worth. It is somebody that is head over heels for Aries. And as always, this could be a same-sex couple as well. But right now, they come across as somebody who says Aries is freaking amazing. Aries is somebody where the more I watch them, the more impressed I am. The more I see this Aries as very business-oriented. This Aries is coming across as somebody who's absolutely fabulous in like running their life, running their business. And business doesn't have to be money, although Aries could be great with money. They could be someone who owns their own business or who, runs a couple different side hustles all at the same time. But they're just somebody who has this sense of like gravity about them. This is an Aries who really comes across as an individual who's very stable, very secure. And this King of Cups has the desire to manifest with Aries. But first and foremost, we got to check and see what is it that they're trying to say that they're so sorry for. We start out, and I would definitely say this is a straight up apology. I'm not going to look at that any other way. This is like wishing for the grace of the angels to help, hopefully Aries will accept this apology. So I'm going to read it that way because it comes out that way pretty strong to me. Let's change decks. What is it that we'll go this route. What is it that they feel Like they want so much to say sorry for. I mean, I like the fact that this person has so much, positive perspective on Aries. We have a 10 of Cups, we have an Ace of Wands, but then we have the Seven of Cups. So, for whatever reason, even though there was no doubt in their mind, Aries makes them so incredibly happy. But I will say this person tends to be either burdened with lots and lots and lots, like almost look at how many people we have with other little versions of themselves. Sorry, my elbow almost fell off. Version of themselves with another version of themselves popping up, with another version of themselves popping up over and over and over again. Almost like this person gets overwhelmed, overthinking about, I met this Aries is amazing, the life we could have together. And then they start to like spiral into like way overthinking about something beautiful to the point where I don't know if they psyched themselves into like a frantic hyperventilating, like, oh my God, I want Aries so much. And, but I'd have to change my whole persona, my whole self. I'd have to reinvent myself so that Aries would want me. It feels like this person either doesn't have a great grasp of their own identity necessarily, or they're very emotional. And we saw them with that as a King of Wands, or excuse me, a King of Cups, which is a very emotional person. A King of Cups is somebody that would have stability in their emotions. But let's say at some point their emotions were coming and going. They knew Aries was wonderful. They wanted Aries, but then they overthought stuff. Then they started to get panicky. Then they started to think they had to become somebody else altogether different. You know what I would almost say? This person got wowed by Aries and turned Aries into someone that they either talk themselves out of being able to be with. And if you look here, we have these two figures, masculine and a feminine, and they created an obstacle. So the masculine and feminine are holding hands, but through this like rock tower. And over here, this is like this dude who's part tree, and he's like a burned down tree. And then this person is made of rock and everything's tumbling. It's like they looked for a way to sabotage or a way to say, I just don't see how this is going to work. Maybe it was a long distance connection. Maybe they were so happy and they pictured how perfect it was all going to be. And then they started to picture how much would have to change in order for Aries to still want them. And then they started to create real or imagined problems so that it could be like, I don't know if this is going to work. This is what they want to say sorry for. They may have started to act as if they were disinterested when in fact it was them like being overly mentally stimulated and sabotaging. I almost think with this Seven of Cups here and them, standing there like a burned out tree and stuff. Seven of Cups can be a card of confusion. And I would never normally read the 10 of Cups as confusion, but in this story, it definitely is. Maybe they have too many people saying things to them that throw them off kilter. Maybe the 10 of Cups is like too many other people weighing in, asking them a bunch of questions, like making them super nervous. Six of Wands, Nine of Cups. I don't know. This is a weird one because we have somebody who was so thrilled to have met Aries and they almost got like over the top excited, kind of even full of themselves a little bit. Then it's like they got scared. What if Aries doesn't see the real me? What if they're in love with an illusion? Maybe they don't know, maybe I drank a little too much, or maybe I party a little, or they haven't seen the real me. They're in love with me. Maybe this was a long distance thing. And maybe this person did have a bit of a, like, they only showed Aries one side of themselves. Meanwhile, they know from spying that Aries is like the real deal. Aries is a boss energy. Aries is, very mature. Aries, they kept saying Aries is so amazing. And I'm crazy about Aries. But then they start to like get cold feet. Oh my God. What if Aries sees the way I actually live, which could be different? And maybe this isn't them like trying to create obstacles. Maybe they're actually being really straightforward. Let me just ask. Character, are you like worried that Aries is going to see the way you live and it's going to be not good enough or something? We have the World, we have the High Priestess. I wouldn't normally look at this as like maybe somebody was still living with a parental figure, but we have Mother Mary in the middle on this High Priestess card. She's not an empress, so I shouldn't say mother, but we clearly have Mother Mary. If they needed to change something in their life, maybe they were living with family and they're like, Aries doesn't live with family, but I do. And this is never going to work. I almost, I'm freaking out going, what was I thinking? Aries' life is so together. Mine really isn't. I have to first move out of, mom's, in this case, kind of looks like basement. I have to change some things in my life so that then I'm on par with Aries. I think this person, yes, they freaked out about how would this really work? Look at all the changes I'd have to make in my life for this to work. When at first they were just so thrilled that somebody like Aries would want them, but then they started to realize Aries doesn't know the real scenario I'm in. I don't think this person was trying to hide anything. I just think that their life, they started to compare what they knew their life to be to Aries' life as they spied, and they realized Aries is like the real deal. Ace of Cups. Yeah, I feel like this person fell more and more in love with Aries the more they've known about Aries, but also more aware that there's a bunch of stuff Aries doesn't know about their scenario. Were you ever trying to hide anything, or was this just more like dawning on you the more you see how great Aries is that you're like, man, I got to change some stuff? Here they are again as the King of Cups. And we see them very discombobulated. We see their chest is outside of their, or excuse me, their like beehive heart is outside of their chest, and their head is up here, and they're holding this umbrella. I would argue this is somebody who is just like, I really am just stunned at how discombobulated my life is by comparison to this amazing Aries. So I don't think this person tried to hide anything. I think maybe they didn't realize how messy their own life was. It's like, if I'm always like, I love to see how other people decorate their homes. I'm not a particularly great decorator, but I have a mom and a sister that thankfully like me, and I come for a visit. Like, my sister is coming to visit me later on this month because she needs to see what I've done and fix it for me. My mom also, like the two of them, I rely on them to help me like make my house look nicer because I don't have that skill. And I'll put stuff in weird places sometimes, and they're great. And I know that about them, and I so appreciate it. I'm better with color, but they're better with design. And it's really fun that I know they'll come and show me what I should do different. But when we look at the way other people put together their house, sometimes we don't realize how messy or how weird ours is until we look at somebody else's. And I kind of think that's the equivalent of this. That's the analogy. Maybe he didn't realize that his life was a little discombobulated until he meets Aries, and Aries' life is so dialed in, and he's like, oh my gosh, hang on, I'm kind of buzzing all over the place here. I'm kind of discombobulated. I don't know what this character's life has been. Maybe they were like going with the flow. Maybe they had like, well, I leave my car over at my cousin's house, but I'm just sleeping, on my mom's couch in the basement, but all my clothes are over at my best friend's, storage unit. Maybe this person was like very scattered. We just keep seeing scattered. And I think the only reason they're like, maybe they're sorry also that they didn't realize that their life was, maybe not super organized until they really started to fully appreciate what Aries brought to the table. But this is somebody who is wanting to say that they're sorry. But let me just ask, what is it ultimately that you're saying you're sorry about? Page of Cups sideways. Again, I'm sorry that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm down here hollering up at you. It almost feels like this person is wanting to say, I'm sorry that I tried to pursue things with you when I shouldn't have, even though I still say deep down there, like, but I still wish Aries would give to me. To me, this looks like a person who is aware that they really care about Aries. I mean, it seems so sincere, but they're also kind of like, sorry, yeah, we got the Tower. There's Aries coming up again. This person feels like Aries is both like a spiritual, partner in their life, somebody that they so desperately needed to meet, somebody that was like divinely guided to them, but also they might kind of still be trying to say, but I mean, I'm nowhere near where I need to be. We have a 9 of Pentacles. It kind of feels like either they're saying, I'm sorry that I'm going to tap out until I can become a Nine of Pentacles, until I get my life orderly. And that might not happen until Easter. I'm sorry. I always say that because I look at this as like, uh, I think he's supposed to be carved, but he looks like he's made out of chocolate to me. And he looks very much like a Jesus figure. And I always think of like, chocolate Easter bunnies. And by the way, I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but I have seen chocolate Jesuses, and it's like, made out of chocolate, right? For Easter stuff. And it's not intended to be disrespectful then either. Or humorous or whatever. It's not mocking anything, but this is always what I think of. So I'm sorry. I'll always honor what I see in a card or what I see in a story, but please know I don't happen to be religious, but I never mean to be insulting or mocking to anybody else's beliefs. We have a strong spirituality here. We have the cross here. It's built into the side of a mountain, or it's a natural, shape of a mountain. And I believe spiritualism, religious energy, I'm kind of more of a naturalist, I suppose, myself. I find spiritualism in that, and connection to, the creator, whatever I conceive the creator to be, in like nature. So to me, this makes perfect sense. But we have I would say there's a lot of reverence for the importance of this connection. But I also feel like there's something about if we look at the story of Easter, it's about Jesus being resurrected. So there will be new life again in this connection, but perhaps this person is more or less saying, I'm sorry, I want to come back when my life is more organized. I want to come back when the tides bring me in. I want new life in this connection. Somebody could be very spiritual, very religious, Christian, Catholic, doesn't matter. Whatever anybody believes in, as long as it makes you a better, calmer, kinder person, less judgmental, more open-hearted, I think is a beautiful thing to believe in. But in this story, we may actually have characters that they could share a belief system. But we see this element of somewhere like around Easter, or somewhere that just represents to me the resurrection of a connection. So again, we don't have to put a religious spin on it. There's that element there. So I want to honor that. Strength card. We definitely see somebody who perhaps has a really strong bond with a mother figure that they're going to need to work out. This could be a situation where they have lived in mom's basement, but maybe they're realizing, I will always have a strong bond with a parental figure, but I also have to be able to reshape what my connection is with a parental figure so I can have a good connection to my Aries. And my Aries, again, shows up as my Queen of Pentacles, who should not be giving to me until I can give them all of me. I think that this character is basically saying, I'm sorry, I have to go and sort some things out so that I get my own life much more organized. There is some element, I believe this person kowtows to family members or is living with a family member, and the bond is strong, but they really admire and love Aries. I feel like this person is trying to say, I'm sorry, but I would like to come back in a little bit. May I reapproach you later? That's what I think this story is. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.